What does it actually take to become the greatest fan army in Billboard history? Right now, Aten is finding out in real time. Because while SB19 stands one win away from a record no fandom has ever held alone, a very different conversation is exploding inside the group's own community, one that has nothing to do with voting, and everything to do with whether the team behind SB19 is keeping up with them. This is Stage Wire, and today we're covering both stories because right now, they're impossible to separate. Let's start with the clock that's actually ticking. Today, August 21st, is the final day of Billboard's 2026 Fan Army Face-Off, and at noon Eastern Time, the voting closes for good. SB19 is not facing a random rival in this last stretch. It's Harry Styles. His fandom, the Harries, is the only thing standing between Aten and history. Here's how we got here. The tournament opened on July 15th with 64 fan armies, everyone from Taylor Swift's Swifties to BTS's army. SB19 fought through Hilary Duff, Megan Thee Stallion, and Melanie Martinez in the early rounds, then took down Zara Larsson's fandom in the quarterfinals on August 13th. The semifinals narrowed the field to 4: Benson Boone, Bruno Mars, Harry Styles, and SB19. When that round closed on August 17th, only 2 fandoms were left standing: Harry Styles and Aten. Why does this particular matchup matter so much? Because Aten has already won 3 years in a row: 2023, 2024, and 2025, which ties them with Tierra's Queens for the most consecutive Fan Army Face-Off titles ever recorded. Last year's win wasn't close either. Aten closed it out with 60% of the vote. A 4th straight win today wouldn't just extend the streak. It would break the tie completely and hand SB19 and Aten the record outright, something no fandom has ever done alone. So if you're Aten and you've been voting daily, don't stop with the finish line this close. If you've been casual about it, today is the day that changes. And if you assume the outcome was already locked in, that assumption is exactly what loses close finals. Billboard's own coverage has repeatedly pointed to Aten's organization-coordinated voting pushes, trending campaigns, streaming support as one of the most disciplined fan operations in the competition. That kind of organization is precisely what a photo finish demands. Think about the road that got Aten here. This wasn't a fluke bracket. SB19 knocked out established, decades-strong fandoms round after round, in a competition that has previously crowned Big Bang, Tiara, Super Junior, and Stray Kids. Aten doing this from the Philippines, against some of the biggest pop and hip-hop fandoms on the planet, is proof that a Filipino fan community can go toe-to-toe with anyone in this competition. Losing today wouldn't undo 3 years of history. But winning turns that history into something no other fandom can claim. Now here's where the story shifts. While Aten pours everything into this final push, a separate, more uncomfortable conversation has been building inside the fandom for weeks. Are SB19 and 1Z Entertainment moving fast enough to match the group's own momentum? To be clear, this isn't fans turning on the company. It's fans asking whether the machine is scaling at the same speed as the group. And there's real context behind the question. SB19 co-founded 1Z Entertainment back in 2023, with member Pablo serving as CEO, a self-managed operation covering music, artist management, content, branding, and live events. That's a genuinely rare setup in this industry, and it's part of what makes SB19's story stand out in the first place. But 2026 has been an unusually massive year. SB19 made history as the first homegrown Filipino act to play Lollapalooza, debuting on the Allianz stage in Chicago on July 30th and premiering their new single Lawless live that same weekend. Days later, they were in Japan, a live TV performance on Nippon TV's Day, followed by back-to-back summer Sonic sets in Osaka and Tokyo, sharing the festival with fellow Filipino acts Binny and Aina Mori. Add the ongoing Fan Army run, and you have a group operating on a genuinely international schedule. That's exactly the scale some fans say the marketing hasn't fully caught up to. The argument circulating online isn't that 1Z is neglecting SB19, it's that when a group is generating this much international attention, every big moment should already have a distribution plan waiting. Instant short-form clips, coordinated international content drops, media outreach lined up before the performance even ends. Attention like a Lollapalooza debut is temporary. Fans argue the real win is turning a viral moment into a subscriber, then a listener, then a lifelong follower before the algorithm moves on to the next trending clip. It's worth saying plainly, this isn't really a complaint that 1Z doesn't care. 1Z built SB19's entire independent identity and this same year, expanded far beyond just the group itself, launching its first girl group, Zanara, in April, and running the Simula at Wackis World Tour across 12 countries. That's not a company standing still. If anything, it's a company growing in multiple directions at once, which is arguably part of the tension. As SB19's international ceiling keeps rising, bigger festivals, bigger television moments, bigger overseas fan bases, the honest question fans are raising is whether the marketing and content infrastructure around the group needs to expand at that same rate, alongside everything else 1Z now has on its plate. And that's actually a sign of how far this group has come. A few years ago, Aten were asking for opportunities. Now they're asking whether every opportunity is being fully maximized. That's the kind of problem that only shows up once an act has already broken through the same growing pains that hit any independent operation stepping onto a global stage faster than expected. What would catching up actually look like? More consistent short-form content built from festival sets and TV appearances. Faster international rollout when a single like Lawless drops. Deeper media pushes in markets like Japan, where SB19 has clearly already found real traction, backed by consistent English or subtitled content so new viewers outside the Philippines don't need to go hunting for context. None of that requires reinventing SB19. It just means matching the infrastructure to the moment. This isn't a uniquely SB19 problem either. It's the same growing pain that hits almost every independent act the moment they outgrow their original setup. The systems that worked perfectly for a rising local group start to strain once that group is headlining international festivals and trending on 3 continents in the same month. The difference here is that Aten is loud enough and organized enough to say so out loud instead of just quietly hoping someone notices. Whatever the answer turns out to be, one thing shouldn't get lost in the noise. This conversation should push the group forward, not split the fandom. Constructive feedback is useful. Infighting isn't. And right now, there's still a trophy on the table. So here's where we land today. Voting for the 2026 Fan Army Face-Off closes at noon Eastern Time. If you're Aten, this is the moment, not tomorrow, not after you check the standings one more time. If SB19 takes this, they don't just win another title. They rewrite the record book entirely, standing alone as the most successful fan army Billboard has ever tracked. And maybe the bigger story isn't whether SB19 can go global. They've already answered that question, from Lollapalooza to Summer Sonic to this final vote. The real story starting now is whether the infrastructure around them can rise to meet what Aten has already built. That's it for today's Stage Wire Breakdown. If you want to stay ahead of every twist in this story, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop your prediction for the final result in the comments. Like this video if you're voting today, share it with fellow Aten who might need the reminder, and we'll see you in the next one.